Warning, this video may not be suitable for all viewers. This content is aimed toward adults who are not easily triggered over harmless fiction, and know how to separate harmless fiction from reality. We are not responsible for you getting triggered. You have been warned. Ara, ara.
Hey, what's up everyone? It's I, the Video Game Hunter, and welcome to another Japanese import goods video. Well, today, I'm going to be showing off some really neat items that I bought by using buy services, like some Japanese mangas, doujinshi, and some really neat video games, while also showing off 2 eroge games that I bought by using Anime Otaku's delivery service. So with that being said, let's go and check these amazing items out. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is some books that I bought from Book Off by using buy service. And the first book I'm going to show you guys is Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, Volume 19. Now, I've been following this series since my Japan trip back in 2019. Where during my trip, I was on social media and I was seeing all kinds of memes of Nagatoro all over the place. And at the time, the manga series was not licensed in the US. So, I had no choice but to sail the 7 seas. I got so into the manga that I decided to go to as many bookstores as much as I possibly could while I was in Japan, and buy up all the volumes that existed at the time, which I was surprisingly was able to accomplish. So anyway, to give you guys a quick description of what happened in this book, Nagatoro finally made it to the second half of the judo tournament, and now she's up against her rival, Orihara, who's been training really hard to be a candidate for the Judo Olympics team. If Nagatoro managed to beat her, then she can finally get her kiss from Senpai. Next, we got ourselves another manga, Monster Musume Volume 18. Now this manga volume was actually amusing compared to the most recent ones. In this volume, Miss Smith, who is part of the Cultural Exchange Security Squad, shows off this magical lock book to the main protagonist, Kimihito, and his monster harem. What ends up happening is that someone tries to open up this locked book, which results everyone being isekai to this magical world of a high school rom-com, which every few minutes we get a typical rom-com trope. And yes, they do in fact point this out in the story. Next, we got Plus Size Elf Second Helping Volume 3. Now in this volume, quite a few things happen in this, like the dream chapter, a dark elf returning to our realm to find her old friend, and the main protagonist is moving to a new place. Now I would say, I love the dream chapter. It all starts out with the main protagonist dreaming about being in a boxing match against Olga the Ogre. But then, he dreams about waking up from that dream where he follows all these children with all the monster ladies in the series. And his reaction was priceless. I already went through this whole chapter multiple times. Not just to see his reaction, but to see all the monster ladies that he had knocked up. And yes, he even knocked up that skeleton lady. Yeah, you see that little bone right there that she is holding? That's the child. Isn't it cute? So a new manga series that I've been really hooked on lately is called Smoking Behind the Supermarket With You. I discovered this series through a random Facebook video where a guy in a luchador mask was praising this manga series. And if I can find this guy's video or Facebook page, I will be happy to give this guy a shout out. So this series is about a 45-year-old office worker named Sasaki, who he works his hands to the bone for a company where some people has dubbed his workplace as a black company. And once he gets off, he goes straight to the supermarket, not just to pick up some groceries, but to see his favorite customer service employee, Yamada. Now Yamada, who is 24 years old, has noticed this guy stopping by the supermarket all the time. And out of curiosity, she ends up coming up with an alter ego while wearing a leather jacket, piercings on her ears, changing her personality, and changing her name to Tayama. So while she's in her Tayama form, she invites Sasaki to smoke behind the supermarket with her, not knowing her true identity. And they end up getting very acquainted with one another. So just like that guy from that Facebook video, I also highly recommend checking this manga out. Hey, future video game hunter here, jumping in real quick to let you guys know that we have found the person who made that recommendation on smoking behind the supermarket with you, and it was recommended by a guy on Instagram who goes by as Manga Cafe. I will leave the link down below for you guys to check out his content. And again, thank you very much for that awesome recommendation. So the next book I'm going to show you guys is a book that I couldn't normally buy with Buyee service, since this book I wanted is made for adults only and is actually against the TOS. But out of curiosity, I decided to fill out a request form to see if they would buy this book for me anyway, and interesting enough, they accepted it. Now, fair warning, this form doesn't always work with all websites, but it definitely worked with BookOff. That being said, the book I end up buying is called Rabbit State. Now, this is a very old book that came out in the 90s, and to be honest, there is really nothing special about this book. Like a lot of dirty books in Japan, it basically just contains multiple of short stories of anime characters getting it on. Now, there is nothing wrong with people who like a quick quickie, but I'm just the type of person who likes a good story than have some lewds here and there. So the next book I'm going to show you guys is a book I bought from Alice Books. But again, I had to fill out another request form with Buyee because it's another book made for adults. And since my experiment with filling out this form went so well with BookOff, I decided I'm going to test this out with Alice Books. And again, I was successful. So the book I end up getting is a furry doujinshi called Momogumi's Secret by Shita Inu. Now, in my last item I showed off, I mentioned how I prefer my adult books to have a decent story before the characters make and by God, I got it this time. Momogumi is a sequel from the author's previous work called Megumi's Secret, but it's not necessary to read that book since this one does a quick recap on it. Now, what I like about this book is not just the art design of the big fluffy Megumi, but I love the misunderstanding story that leads to another character misunderstanding the situation. Basically, it's about a guy who is shocked that this big, beautiful, fluffy creature is his girlfriend. But he feels really bad that he can't spend as much time with her because of his office job. And he's worried that she might leave him for another guy. Thankfully, that's not the case, and Megumi just wants to show off her new sexy costume based off the guy's favorite TV show to show how much she really appreciates him. But it turns out that's not really his thing, however, they somehow make it work. So the next few items that I'm going to show off are stuff that I bought from Mercari. And yes, these items are actually video game related. That being said, I'm actually going to show you guys two items at once this time around because they're actually related to one another. And that is Tenchi Muyo Ryoki for the PC-98 and the art book. Now, I simply bought this game because I love the Tenchi Muyo series. I haven't seen all of them yet, but I would love to sit down and watch the whole series someday. Now, the game itself I can't really say much because I only played very little of it, but this game is a visual novel, and according to some things I read online, there are multiple paths and endings in this game. And in my humble opinion, the best visual novel games always have multiple paths and endings because it gives you more replayability out of it. Which, good news, this seems to be true, because the art book that I also bought that so happened to pop up on Mercari when I was searching for this game, the book shows brackets of paths that you can take you to certain storylines. So this is not just an art book, but a strategy guide as well. So before I show off the next game, a few months ago, I did a Let's Play on a game called Furry Hitler 2. It's a visual novel game with Sokoban puzzles mixed in, and let's just say, I didn't care for the game. Not just because the story felt it was lacking, but the puzzle section felt like it was way too easy. So in hints, I decided to look up some Sokoban games, and I ended up finding a cheap copy on Mercari called Nada no Sokoban Special on Famicom Disk System. Now this is actually my first time playing an actual Sokoban game that's not made by a hentai developer or made by a cheap third-party company. And my thoughts on this game is that I actually quite enjoyed it. Especially this game has features that the other games I mentioned don't have. One of those features is that in this game, you can find special items that can assist you if you get stuck in the game, and if you don't like the fact that the map is so small, hit the select button to make the map bigger. I don't know if I'll ever complete this game since it's about 150 levels, but by God, if I ever get bored and I want a challenge, I am definitely playing this game. Alright, our next item is Linda Q for the PC Engine CD. This is a turn-based RPG that I discovered from watching the Happy Console Gamer who made a video on this, which I highly recommend watching, especially since he probably can explain the game far better than I ever could. That being said, the sole reason why I wanted to get this game is because I've been told that this game can be pretty out there. Despite the fact the game looks like a typical 16-bit RPG like Lunar or any other similar games like that, but that really isn't the case here. The best way I can describe this game is kind of like the story of Noah's Ark, except instead of collecting animals, you need to fight and collect male and female monsters and take them back to the Ark. You need to collect all these monsters by the time the meteor hits and destroys your planet. And that's not the crazy part. Apparently, this game can be pretty violent and graphic at times. It got so bad that this game got a 18+ rating. Now, this game is also available on the PS1 and Saturn, but those versions got censored, and you know me, I hate censorship, and I'd rather play my games how they were originally intended.
55 84 美人で頭もいいしよく笑う
So the next two games are uroges, and I bought them from Toa Ananoana site, which I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but I use the Anime Otaku delivery service to order the items for me. The first game I'm going to show you guys is called AI Deal Raise. This, I have to say, is a very pretty mecha fighting game, and that's pretty much all this game has going for it. The story does not keep me interested at all, even though it does have an English option. It's just after you pass the first part of the game, being introduced to your android girlfriend, the game gets pretty boring really fast when you get your first mecha fight. It's mostly because I almost have no clue what I'm doing. I mean, the game does explain what you need to do and how to control the mechs. It just feels kinda I feel like I'm just clicking on the mouse and I'm somehow winning my battles without even trying. Maybe instead of worrying about making the game all nice and pretty, they could have just worked on the combat a bit more. We are down to our final item of this video, and it is called Wolf Girl With You Complete Edition Bonus. This is not really a game per se, but the best way I can describe this It is a hentai that has multiple choices that can lead you to different sceneries. Now, the wolf girl is named Liru. She is an anime character from the show Riken Senkyu Magical Pokken. And in case you guys are wondering, no, this hentai is not being endorsed by the original creator. So yes, this is in fact a self-published doujinshi. Now that being said, like I mentioned, this is a hentai that has multiple choices that will lead you to different sceneries. The game always starts you out with you coming home where Liru is waiting for you. Your choices pretty much always leads you to the same sceneries, like take a bath, eat dinner, and go to bed. Now, I'm not saying that's all you'll be witnessing, but depending on your choices and how well you treat her, you might earn yourself a special hidden scene with Liru.
どうしたのよ、急に。耳は反則だろう。もうダメ。この続きは暖かいお部屋の中で。
And there you have it, folks. That is the video. And hopefully, some of the stuff that I showed off in this video got you interested of checking out those items yourself. Especially that manga that I really got into. Smoking behind the supermarket with you. But that being said, thank you so much again for watching. This is the Video Game Hunter. And until next time, goodbye.
Hey bitch, what's up? You're the kind of girl that could give me the good long suck. And I don't need first name basis. Maybe we could pass it to each other on the third and fourth bases.
Well, what the hell? She got my mind fucked like Galadriel. And I can see that we're thirsty.
Call it intuition, but it ain't just our glasses that's sturdy.
And I was brought or carried upstairs. And I was thinking about asking